Wow, videos for week 14. Important week, obviously. And this topic is important as well. So, the more you move into web development, the more you're going to hear about the importance of optimizing images for the web. So, I thought, let's just take some baby steps there because the more you get into this, you'll probably be using different tools for this. At a high end, of course, the Adobe Cloud suite, but more specifically, Photoshop is something that we use primarily in higher end and more professional level development. But I don't have access to the Adobe Cloud. I don't use it enough to justify it for the needs that I have. But I at least wanted to give you an introduction. So and give you some, here's an easy way to kind of think about it. So what I want you to do is I want you to, and I've provided a video this week for you to watch. It's a fairly short one. I think of the ones I look for, I think it gave the basics. And so if you have some software already on your system, you're more than welcome to use it to optimize some images. And he talks about, which I really like, the idea of different sizes in different areas, whether it's in your feed or whether it's a thumbnail for an article, right? But I just want you to have an idea because the reason I'm bringing this up now is that every page on Project Zero needs some kind of image, okay? So that image could be, in this case, maybe a print screen that you did. You could take and make that small enough to fit into the page in a way that would work, right? That's one thing you can do. Or as he showed, and because this is an academic project, you do have a bit more leeway when it comes to copyright than people that would be doing things commercially. Then you'd have to make sure you use royalty-free images. So we have a little more flexibility. Okay, so first watch that video, and then I want you to choose, right? Find two images, right? And either you have images already, or, and I did this, I went ahead and went to Google Images and I searched for where he did large, right? So he came down. So when you first come in, you can do here videos, and then you can do more tools. And look at this, you can even do by labels for. There's different ways you could do this. Non-commercial, you label for non-commercial use, which would be great, right? You could do that as well. But I'm going to put, and then large. I did large, and then I went in and found one, right? So I found this one. So I did that, and I went in and did view, right click, save image as. And so now what I did is I navigated to my image directory and that subdirectory that we were looking at earlier, where I'd placed my template files that ultimately got placed into the server. So I put that first file and I just called it secret. So right now the reason it's calling it one is it already sees one called. So I'd save it in that directory first. Then I thought, hey, let's go look at this little website called WebMonkey. So let me actually take you back to, just going to refresh so you can see this, but he showed it as well. You just edit, you bring in, and I brought that image in, and you can see I actually did this. I optimize it, and you can see that the softer, smaller image, 150 by 111 KB. First round that I did, larger, 1000 by 66. You can see then the sizes, and then that's actually the idea here. So the original one, this is how large it was, this is how big it was. 37, 79. Why was that one? That's interesting. Look at that. That's something I just noticed is the one I optimized through their site was 79 KB, but the original one I got was 37 and it was smaller. So what that would indicate is that this image, whatever it came from, was done through some professional level optimizations, because even though I made it a little smaller, the file was a little larger. That really is about the algorithm that is used, right? So that's interesting. I just noticed that at this moment. So anyway, so I took that image first. Let me bring up the first one I did. I opened it up, right? And what's cool about this site is that you can do a lot of different, very simple stuff, right? And he definitely showed that in the video. So, but you can add text to it. You can sharpen it. You can add filters to it. Where was that filter? Real quick. Is it here? Yeah, so you can add a coloring, which is really nice, just a filter, not a coloring, but the process you can create, right? So let's say I liked this particular effect, right? And in this case, I would also then want to come down possibly, oh, spotlight, that looks kind of nice. Sorry, I could play for a long time here, right? So I think it's then once you crop. Oh yeah, so then it's resize. So the couple things I want you to do is find an image. I want you to apply some kind of filter, and we call these filters. They're calling them effects. And then you can also add some text to it if you want, which is kind of fun. You can also do other kind of fixes if you want, right? And then ultimately resize it, right? So, and he was, and actually this is about the size he was talking about in there, but I went ahead and decided to make it a little smaller. And then when I applied it, right? And probably it was maybe, actually now that I'm thinking about it, could have been something I added from a filter that made it larger as well when I hit apply here. And then I just save it. Now the key is when you save it is this various options that you can give, right? And notice I probably did, yeah, I can see right here what happened was because of those filters that I did. It added, which makes sense, it added some weight to the file. Okay, so really I just want you to have the experience of saving it, resizing it in a couple of different sizes, looking at the size difference here to see the idea of optimizing. Okay, and I like that video because it really kind of gives that overview. Even though we got a little of this in the beginning, the HTML beginning stuff, we can never get enough of this topic because believe me, you're going to hear a lot more about this as you continue on. Okay, so then save it, right? So this is where I had already saved the original one. I did an optimized one and then I did a smaller one. So I ended up with 3 of them. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. You're welcome to play around with the filters and do it however you want. So now what I'm going to do is now that I've done that, we're going to get some more FTP experience, right? So, by the way, from the last time I was with you, I played a little more with my site, right? I decided to say, not just column one, but maybe these are links. And this is what I learned. Maybe this is my index file, right? My 200 words that I'd write here, something like this. And again, I'm not totally like 100% that you're going to have to do 2 columns, but you need to understand how to modify your template to do that. Sorry, I know I'm talking about hands-on. So let's talk about what I want you to do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a page. It's good to do this. So let's take my index page that's here that I have at the current state that it's in, right? I'm going to do File, Save As. I'm going to call it, give it a new name because that's basic. You're creating a new file in that directory called Images. Cool. So now I have another page called Images, right? It's not linked anywhere in my navigation. And here's what I mean by that. If I open this page up in a browser, right? Right, this is called Images. If I go home, now it's hard to tell, and that's the other thing is when you do these save as, and that's part of what you're doing, right? It is also good to start modifying your content so that you can see, right? So in this case, I'm going to say Rio's CIT images, right? So then I would come down here, right? And then this would be, right? So we could put links here, right? Or we could put something on that, right? Something there, and then we could write something here. So that's what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to kind of mark this page up as an example of the way you could show this, okay? So hold on. Okay, so I played around a little bit, and here's the page I ended up creating. I changed that. Again, it was the images.html because I copied that file. I said tag cloud and I decided, oh, that'd be a fun thing to do. So I could change this to where these are linked to different editors. And then images optimized with PicMonkey. And then I said optimized, effect optimized and resized. That's the smallest one. Then I just said effect and optimized and then the original file. So, oh, misspelled that, but that's okay. Now let me show you the code. Fairly easy and straightforward code, right? So first here was my, and I could get rid of some of that space there. It's always good to keep your code as clean as possible. So in that column, right, so that's my tag cloud, and then my paragraph with the link to WebMonkey, targeting it as blank, and then I didn't link these other two, but I could. And then my other column is I did the H2 as, and again, you know, have a heading of some type so you can see it stand out, images optimized. And then here I did a paragraph and I did the words, and then the all important, if you haven't done it before, I think we have, but in this case, here's the image source equals open parentheses imj. So in this case, we're referencing that directory, the image directory, right? And then that is those files that we referenced in there. So going back here, right? So I did 3 of them. So you would have then another one underneath here, right? So you would have another, because I said find 2 that you might use, right? So okay, so now that I've done that, so you can look at that code, and you can pause this if you want to look at how I did that code. You can again make it look right in your one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this because I'm going to go ahead and close it out since I'm kind of done. These are the files on my local system. Okay, this is not linked to my navigation even though it's not included. So now what I'm going to do, because right now on my server, this is what's out there, right? That images file is not, that images.html file isn't there yet. And the answer is no, it's not there because I haven't uploaded it. So now that's what I want to show you to do. More reasons to do uploading and to get used to that, right? So, don't need to do it right now. Right now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and so I can look at these modified. So not only do I need to upload the HTML file, I also need to upload those 3 images files. So let me go ahead and let me go ahead and navigate to my desktop. Go ahead and go, that's the file. So first I can do is just drag this over, right? Drag it over to here, upload it. So I've uploaded, continue. So now if I was to go look at right now that page, what would I see? Would I see the page? Yeah, I'd see the page. Oh, maybe I would. Did I do the override images? Did it go up right? Oh, images. See? That's so good. So I did images and I typed. So that's again. So yeah, it's up there, but what's wrong? It's missing these. So when you see this, that means that the code, if it looked right when it was on my local computer, right? It was there. Now, why wasn't it when I looked at the server? Was because I didn't, oh sorry, I have too many things open. I didn't upload them. So now I'm going to go back over to CyberDuck. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to bring back my folder. And now I have to go to my images directory. And I have to then, those are the 3 files. And I'm going to place them in this directory. So I could either open this directory, right? Because those are the files that are up there. And I could click those 3 and just drop them in there. Continue. And now it's bringing those files up to, oh, now for some reason I must have made a little mistake here. Do you guys see it? Yeah, so for some reason it put them there. So I just pull them up and place them in here. And I'm going to move them, yep. So this is good. This experience of doing this, right? The way I've shown it with the mistakes all included is really part of what you may go through, right? So now I have to ask myself, did it work? And the way I do it is I come back over here and I refresh. I'm like, yeah, that worked. So then copy that, go into the reply here, give us the link, and write about what your experience was of doing this, because really the idea was to give you more experience with creating files, a little bit of image optimization. But we created a new file not attached to your existing navigation, so we could delete it later if we wanted. But I showed you a little bit, and you watched the video how to use PicMonkey. But there are other sites, like I use Pixlr a lot. I use GIMP. I use other things. I don't, again, use Photoshop, although if I was doing this more, I would. Okay, so again, we're continuing on giving you these experiences of doing more local and then server stuff. I do look forward to having more conversation, continuing this, talking about build tools. We really need to at least give you an introduction to the build tools. You'll get that next week. Anyway, enough for this week. Have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye.